Hello folks, welcome back to a new bunch of hobby nightmares. Today we have a very interesting nightmare that I'm very excited to read about Games Workshop's compulsory unpaid Saturday morning training sessions. The dreaded things, yes. We're going to talk about them later in a new hobby nightmare. But first, if you like what I do and you're not subscribed yet, please do subscribe. We are 74 members away, 74 subscribers away from reaching our 20,000 sub target. What a good bunch of people you are. Thank you very, very, very much for supporting me. And if you can do, a little bit of support by subscribing to the channel, that would be amazing for me. It means a hell of a lot to me. So thank you for those who do. And if you're already subscribed, I love you very much. Thank you for being here. Right. Cadian says, "Hi North. My name is pretty much irrelevant to this, so let's just call me Cadian, since that's my YouTube and Discord username. Sorry if the grammar in this is horrific. I'm not the greatest at writing, especially emails." Well, everybody who says that normally sends in a really good email, so, I wouldn't worry about it. Also, those of you who complained about the songs having lyrics in them, I have listened, and now we know we will have no more lyrics in songs, because it does distract from what I'm saying. I get you. Happens to me too. When I'm watching other things, I didn't realise that there was songs like that in there, so yeah, fix that. Moving on. Just wanted to share my own nightmare. It's fairly short, I think. I'm a big fan of your Hobby Nightmare series, and you're doing a great job and are helping me in feeling just that little bit better in the day-to-day grind. So thanks for that, and advice on what I should do next will be quite helpful. Okay, cool. Anyways, this isn't specifically a Warhammer Hobby Nightmare, but I think it is very applicable to many different scenarios in the hobby. It's more of a RTS Hobby Nightmare, with some of Warhammer thrown in. I like to play Warhammer Dawn of War and other real-time strategy games in my off time. They are really fun and a common love along my circle of friends. My friends you can call Dale and Jamie. I don't really want to use their actual names, but these are good substitutes, I guess. And are my only real friends right now, as I live in quite a small town with few people having similar interests. Only one of my friends Jamie engages with in the hobby, and he and me are the only ones I can find to do it. Okay. Dale isn't into the hobby and doesn't really understand the appeal. Sorry if this is a bit scatterbrained, maybe have a tea break after this bit. Okay. Dave is very good at many things, including RTS games, like Dawn of War and Medieval 2 Total War, in which he regularly smashes me. Which is fair enough, it is a competitive game after all. But I have found that he has, over the last year, gained a new smugness about him, becoming disrespectful, and often telling me how I am worse than him at everything, and sometimes it feels like he is lording it over me. Yeah, it doesn't feel like, it sounds like it to me as well, mate, to be honest with you. Sip of tea time. Does sound like he's getting a bit too big for his boots there. When he plays, he always picks the most overpowered combos of units in Medieval 2, a medieval real-time strategy game by the Total War team. Dude, you don't need to say that to me. It's the best Total War game. Fight me. Fight me. It's the best Total War game. But bar none. Right? I'm an ancient historian. My specialty is ancient history, right? It's Rome, Greece, Persia, all that stuff. Carthage. I still say Medieval 2 is the best Total War game, not Rome. Medieval 2, mate. All day long. Brilliant game. For example, where he uses exclusively a spam of armoured knights and overpowered units when we are trying to just have a casual game. I might just be bitching, but it just feels like he doesn't respect me at all, and he has multiple times told me that I should drop Warhammer because I'm wasting my money on plastic, and that instead I should buy a graphics processor, a graphics card, so that we can play better games. Which I already don't enjoy playing with him in the first place. I don't think he realises it himself, but it sometimes feels like he just keeps me around to boost his own ego and use me as an easy kill for his own kicks. Then dude, why don't you tell him this? You had the perfect comeback right there. When he says to you, buy a graphics card so you can play better games, say, no mate, I enjoy 40k, I don't enjoy playing with you. I play out of an obligation because you're my friend. So why would I dedicate more money to it? You don't make it fun for me, so why would I dedicate more money to it? Job done. Yeah, argument's over. You should have nothing more to say on that at all, right? Anyway, he also acts like a goddamn pseudo-intellectual, always acting like a prophet of mankind or a god emperor that everyone should bow down to. And no one else but me and Jamie really talk to him, but he has this ego of someone 5 times his actual stature in life, criticising me for whatever food choice in clothing and opinions I have, or whatever. Sorry if this is a rant, but it's gotten to the point he has ruined the real-time strategy hobby for me, with the constant losing and humiliation making me now a self-hating, low-confident, sensitive person who now struggles to even attempt to do anything without getting frustrated at myself. As someone who has had a history of bullying, it kind of brought this shit back to the surface. Dude, I'm right there with you. I'll carry on after this. I'm trying to distance myself from him, but it's a bit hard since we used to be best friends, and he's still on decent terms with Jamie. So yeah, I just don't know what to do really. So thanks Noah for reading if you did it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I get you, man. This sucks. This is horrible. This is so horrible. This is just like people who've been bullied or have had things happen to them in past lives, not past lives, in the earlier parts of their lives, right? They tend to anything that brings up that trauma later on, okay? You need to make an adult decision. And the adult decision is this trauma unfair? And what I mean by that is, again, this is what my therapist told me too, is that you need to understand what fair and unfair trauma is. Unfair trauma is when somebody's actually being a dickhead to you and is actually bullying you and bringing up those horrible, horrible memories, so you need to take a step back. You know what I mean? Those are those bits of trauma that you need to step away from. You need to get away from that, right? Fair trauma is if someone's just giving you some shit, right? Just giving you a bit of a rib, like a normal person would, and you're reacting in a volatile way because of things that have gone on in your past. It's very important that you recognise one from the other, okay? So one is very, look, you're reminding me of my bullies when I was a kid because you're acting like my bullies when I was a kid, and I need to get away from you, right? That's fine, right? But then there are other times when your memories are being bullied and are repeating on you because of something that one of your friends did when they didn't mean it that way. And that's why you need to be careful, because you can sabotage real relationships by saying, look, I don't want you in my life anymore, right? Again, I have a funny feeling that my story from the other week of a friend that I broke up with triggered this hobby nightmare, right? And if those of you who don't know, I recently did that, right? I had a friend who I've known for 15 years who I had to just take a step back from and say, listen, mate, we're not friends anymore. Because he just kept getting angrily violent with people. Not me. Wouldn't fucking dare. But, like, people around me. And he just kept doing it to other friends and people that we were out with. And he'd shout at them and point at them in their face for no reason whatsoever. And in the end, I had to say to him, mate, my daughter throws tantrums like that. We're no longer friends, okay? You need to just go away now. You need to go away and leave me alone. In fact, I gave him a chance. I texted him. I tried to call him. Tried to, understand him. Maybe he'd apologise. When he doubled down on it and said it was their fault for upsetting him when they didn't really upset him, he just got really overly sensitive. I was like, yeah, mate, you're done. We're done. Right, you need to go. And that is because his acting that way was reminding me of traumatic things that have happened in my past. But in a way that was unfair, right? It was unfair to me. I recognise, listen, this isn't fair to me. So we've been friends for 15 years. Doesn't matter. Off you go. Off you go. You are now a net negative in my life. That's the most important thing. Let me take a quick sip of tea and I will move on. I'm sorry, guys. I know I talk a lot, but that's what Hobby Nightmares is about. If you're after, just read verbatim from Reddit, then go and watch awesome YouTubers that are out there. Drake's out there. Other people like that, right? Crick Crab. Other people. Go and watch them. This is a mental health channel, first and foremost. People write in with their Hobby Nightmares, and a lot of them want feedback, which is why I give feedback, alright? A few of you are a bit new, and you come from bigger channels than mine, and you think that that's how it goes here. That's not. Okay, so one sec. Right, we help each other here. We don't just laugh at Reddit. Even though it is very easy to laugh at Reddit, let's be honest. Okay. So, again, I know how terrible it is coming to that realization that you need to let somebody go, okay? But when somebody becomes a net negative in your life, you need to recognize when that happens. This guy sounds to me like he's a net negative in your life. And the least you can do is give him the heads up and say, look, this is where I am. This is what's going on. I'm not enjoying gaming with you, and you're a bummer, you're dragging me down, and if this carries on, I can't be friends with you anymore. Honestly, here's the best policy, my friend, because then you put the ball in his court. It's up to him to manage his behaviour, you know, to be a better person, or he can spit his dummy out, and then he's made your decision for you. Happened with me and my friend. I put the ball in his court, right? He threw another tantrum. So I said, right, we're done. We're done. You've made my decision for me. We're done. That's pathetic. We're done. That's what you need to do. Yep. I've just realised there's words in this song, but they're not really words. They're just more like, you know, noises. Anyway, moving on. Yakir says, hey North, I love your channel. Here is a quick one, though it's not that terrible. Alright. When the 10th edition came out, I started playing 40k. Oh god. You started at 10th. Oh no. Okay. This happened with 9th as well. I was like, oh my god, you started with 9th, you poor summer child. Oh my god. I joined a novice tournament and was matched to play against the transgender dude who wears a black dress. Okay. Yeah, the game was fine. I lost, but it turns out he was not playing the rules correctly. But whatever. We were novices after all at once. No, that's very understanding of you. Nice. But what was really annoying was that he got angry because I kept referring to him as a guy when I spoke. Oh no. Now, we are not from an English-speaking country, and our main language has a lot of female and male variants of speech. Masculine and feminine, yeah. And I naturally referred to him as a guy because, well, he's a guy. Fast forward to today. I do a bolt-action demo days in our local game store. I show up to the store with my German and American armies, and a guy shows up for the demo. I introduce myself and start explaining about the game. Then he interrupts me and says, I'm a girl, actually, so I should refer to him as a girl. I was thinking in my head, yeah, I'm not going through this crap again. And I told him that I will refer to him as a guy, as I don't play around with that kind of thing. Okay, alright, well, okay. He obviously gets very irritated and asks me if I want to speak English instead. To that I answered, if we both speak our native language, why speak in English? He refused, and well, the reason he wants to speak in English is because we don't really have masculine and feminine like you guys do, you know? We have she, her, you know, he, you know, but we don't refer to somebody as, I don't know. It is different. Like, we got we're very light on masculine and feminine nouns and stuff, whereas in other languages, especially Latin languages that are devolved from Latin, like Spanish, Italian, you do have masculine and feminine. French too, masculine and feminine, and things like that. Anyway, he refused and left. I felt better about knowing I stood my ground and didn't give up to having to endure another bullshit experience. This is my hobby. I want to enjoy it, but was I in the right? Thank you again. Were you in the right? Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Listen. People have no power over you. This is where I stop. I have no problem with hate speech. Alright? You know, it shouldn't be illegal to hate somebody. It should be illegal to act on those hatreds, on those hatred feelings. This is what I'm saying. I'm very pro-free speech. You can say what you want about me, about my culture, about my background. I don't care. I don't care, because I know who I am, and I know you're a douche nozzle. So there you go. You know, and we move on. So, the one thing that really bugs me about this situation is when people try to force you to say things their way. And I know you need to call me this, you need to call me that. No, I don't. I can call you whatever the fuck I want, because it's a free country and I can do what I want, right? We're losing that in the UK right now. We're having anti-hate speech laws, which means if somebody refers to themselves as a girl, you've got to say that they're a girl, or you can get done. You can literally get done, right? That's ridiculous. There is a curtailment of free speech. That is an attack on normal freedoms. And I think you standing up for yourself here and saying, look, listen, mate, I'm not playing that game. It may be real to you, you know, and I respect you for your choice. And, you know, if I know you better, And I know that this isn't just a phase or anything. If I know you better and I know you're serious about this, I may refer to you by new pronouns to support you, but I don't know who you are. You don't get to tell me how to talk, so go fuck yourself. Right? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that sentiment whatsoever. Because other people shouldn't tell you how to think and how to act and how to talk. Okay? That's where I am. And most of the real trans people I know, again, real ones, actual trans people, right? I know a few, mainly from Atomic Games Workshop, really, and through hobby stores. Anyway, I know a few, and none of them give a shit what you call them. None of them give a shit, right? Because they know what they are. They're secure in what they are. It's only the insecure people, the people who probably aren't really trans, who get on their high horse and say, "How dare you? It's mom," right? Those people, they're insecure. Right, they've probably got some mental issues going on, and they try to force you to acquiesce to their worldview. Actual trans people don't do that because they're fully secure in who they are. They know they're a woman in a man's body. They know they're a man in a woman's body and things like that. Right? They don't need you to affirm it or not affirm it. They're fine. Right? They're just, they've gone through that process already when they were a teenager or later on in life even. But they know who they are. Absolutely, they know who they are. So they don't give a shit. And they're very understanding. Like, hey, I know I look like a girl. I've got tits and I'm a man. I know. It throws people off. Don't worry about it. Right? You know? Some of the best dudes I know are women. Some of the most chill dudes I know are women who are actually men. You know? Like, it's fine. But, again, an adult trans person who is well-adjusted won't get too offended if you're doing it maliciously, and you're calling them he, she, or dead naming them maliciously, then they'll get offended. Yeah, and they should do, right? Because you're being an asshole about it. But if you get a Freudian slip every now and again, and you say, listen, do you mind if I just call you he? Because it's fucking, I'm not used to this, and it's hard for me. None of them, they'll be like, yeah, whatever, dude. It's fine, They might think less of you, deep down, but they'll go, yeah, whatever, dude, it's fine. You know what I mean? So, well done to you for standing up for yourself and that you're not going to be pushed around because, telling other people how to think and how to talk is not a great way to get people on your side. Just saying. Anyway. Red says, hello, Northern Exile. I recently came across your videos having YouTube autoplay as I was either getting painting done or I was putting some models together. That's cool, man. Thank you, YouTube autoplay, for getting me another person to talk to. I will say it has been an absolute treat hearing some of the insane stories people have out there in the hobby world. You can call me Red, by the way. Cool. I am new to Warhammer, and have only ever really been in the hobby for approximately 2 years. At the time, I'd somewhat recently gotten around to owning 1,000 points of a near completely painted and based Death Guard army. Aside from a Chaos Rhino, I had to hunt down around the time I'd finished my 1,000 points. We actually had the points and rules changes that gave Death Guard some pretty nice buffs to the Plague Company detachment. So it was time to finally try my hand at this whole Warhammer thing. I think this was around the point in the story where your viewers tell you to take a sip of tea. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I think once, ages ago, I said, I like taking a sip of tea in the Hobby Nightmares, and then one person told me to take a sip of tea, and then from there on it's just gone on and on and on. So, here's to you, my friend. I can't wait to start sending out boxes of Yorkshire tea this summer. So when it starts, I'll cover that when we get there. I had played Kill Team before, but I had yet to play a proper game of Warhammer. In my first proper game of Kill Team, I remember playing against another player who we will call Shane, for the sake of anonymity. And Shane was not a very honest player. This will be relevant later. So, I went on my local Warhammer Discord and looked around for a game. Eventually, someone DM'd me. I didn't know who it was, but I didn't care, since I was just looking to get a game in. I preferred playing at my local Warhammer store, since I was still new to 10th edition, and there were lots of guys there who could help. But this guy was adamant about playing at the local comic and hobby shop. I didn't care much for that place due to the constant smell in the gaming area. The wife, who is an avid Age of Sigmar fan, refuses to return to that store for the very same reason. However, it's difficult to find 1,000 point games in my area, so I just sucked it up and went. I showed up 15 minutes before the game was supposed to start. That way, I could make sure I had everything in order so I could quickly go over my rules again. With no prior notice, my opponent finally showed up 45 minutes after the game was supposed to start. When I looked up from my phone, who do I see? Fucking Shane. And I instantly knew this was going to be a slog of a game. Things went fairly normally. We used standardised match play terrain placement, as well as tournament-style rules for how ruins and other pieces of terrain work. We rolled off for deployment, set up our armies. Shane is playing Chaos Space Marines, and rolled to see who would be going first. Shane instantly got a 6 for his roll, and I managed to get a 6 as well, so we re-rolled. Shane gets another 6, which is interesting, and I got a 3. Shane goes first. I noticed Shane had placed a die he had just used away from his other dice, for some reason. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I'm sure astute listeners already know why this is. Yeah, I think we already know why that is. His movement phase was normal. Nothing weird yet. Then he moved on to shooting. He grabs his separated die and rolls to see how much his Vindicator's Demolisher Cannon will shoot at my War Dog. And he gets a 6. He rolls a wound, does well, and I don't roll so well enough to save, and my War Dog is out of the running immediately. It was a bit frustrating, but I deployed aggressively, so I blamed myself for that in the moment. I also don't know how Dark Pack worked at the time. The way Shane had explained it to me was that each of his units had certain marks that they could get bonuses from whenever he did something due to those marks. He just so happened to keep out of the important detail that any time he shoots with Dark Pact on a unit, he must roll for leadership, and, if he fails, he would take D3 mortal wounds due to mutations and things that are going on in his unit. To make a long story short, Shane would constantly roll behind terrain, so I couldn't see the results of his rolls. I had to stand next to him at one point because I'd asked him to stop doing that, but he continued. Even when I would stand next to him, he'd somehow find a way to roll behind a piece of terrain, which he would then pick up. Which I would then pick up before he had a chance to grab the dice, so I could see what the results were. And lo and behold, his rolls stopped being as good as before I did that. He'd constantly tried to take shots at units that he had no clear visibility to, and when asked how he could shoot me, he'd say his weapons had the indirect fire keyword, when in fact, they did not. I never caught the Dark Pact issue, but he activated it every single time he shot, always in melee. I also remember that he would stack lethal hits and sustained hits, one, on units that did not have any abilities that would allow that to occur, which would compound with the marks that those units had. I think my favourite moment is when I used Rapid Ingress to drop my Death Shroud Terminators and Lord of Contagion outside of 9 inches from his Chaos Terminator squad plus Abaddon. He goes for the charge and gets a 4. He command point rerolls and gets an 8, and starts moving his models. I explained to him that my models are outside of 9 inches, so his length of charge does not get him into engagement range. His response is, and I quote, "I only need to be within 1 inch to be in engagement, so my charge is successful." There was a back and forth for a while, but I just gave up on trying to argue and allowed the charge, and of course, his rolls were phenomenal behind those ruins, so my unit and Lord of Contagion were wiped straight away. This is what prompted me to stand next to him moving forwards. Dude, this guy's, oh my god. Oh my god. What did all this blatant cheating result in? Well, a victory on his part, I believe, by 2 points. Oh my god, 2 points. When you're cheating this hard. 2 points. That's like a loss, a decimation. Do you know what I mean? Can you imagine sitting on the bus going home, knowing you've won a game by 2 points, and you cheated to get that win? Oh my days. Then again, cheaters aren't normal people, folks. You know what I mean? They don't think like me and you. They're troglodytes. You know, he will be going home convincing himself that, oh, that was a good win on his part, you know? Had I known more about the game and been playing with tactical objectives, neither of us had cards, and I didn't know about the Tabletop Battles app at the time, so he forced fixed objectives. And I had the confidence I have now, the game would likely have looked very different. Yeah. I think the worst part for me is the fact that he was fully aware that I was new to Warhammer 40k. I wouldn't be surprised if he does this with every new player he meets. That game made me not want to play 40k after I had finished it. I knew something was off, so when I got home, I looked over all of the Chaos Space Marine rules and realised how far he had gone with the cheating. That's not even mentioning the fixed die he had used on single rolls and rolling behind terrain, so I couldn't see the results. When I had reported what had happened to the local judge in my Warhammer Discord, I was simply told that it's my fault I lost the game because I didn't keep my opponents honest every step of the way. When I attempted to argue further with the judge, he said that some people just don't have good English comprehension and bad memory, so it could just have been an honest mistake that he didn't do everything the way it was supposed to be done in the book. Dude, this is where public outing becomes a thing, right? I might do a channel in the Discord where we call out cheaters in our local area. Do you know what I mean? But it would be too controversial. Because people would want to use real names. That's a can of worms. So you might need to do it off your own back. Just go to your local place and say, look, this guy here, his name's this, he plays this army, and these are all the things he did to me in a game, right? Where I'm fairly sure he was cheating. Not just sure, I'm positive he was cheating, right? Because in your story, mate, he is cheating. This isn't a mistake. An honest mistake, fine. But this is not a mistake. This is some guy who's taking advantage of new players. Put that out there. Name and shame, dude. Name and shame. Get him out of there. But you did what you could, and you moved on. You know, it is what it is. Thankfully, I didn't just quit the game after that. I've since played more games, and I've gained more confidence to call people out on bullshit like this. I honestly hope I see Shane again one day. I want to call him out every step of the way, and make him hate playing the game as much as he did with me. If there is only one takeaway to be had from this story, let it be to call people out for cheating. I don't care who the person is. If something seems off, be loud about it. Make sure the person knows that they're caught. They will fold like a lawn chair. Best regards. Red, a very passionate high school teacher. Cheers, man. Thank you. And thank you for teaching, too. Being a high school teacher is not easy. So thank you for teaching our next generation and for being there. Because, you know, God knows I've done it and it's not easy. Right. On to the main event of the Hobby Nightmare episode. Let's jump in, shall we? Games Workshop Bob says, Dear Sir, first, I would like to thank you for great advice about the hobby. I enjoy listening to them whilst I paint my figures and laugh at the funny situations that you have recited from fellow hobbyists. I especially appreciate your help with mental health aspects of videos. No problem, man. As I experienced numerous similar situations that I tried by helping customers and staff who confided in me and helped resolve. I also shake my head at the similarities from my time at Games Workshop in the 90s, and the experience of yourself and others today in their own hobby nightmares, with problems with gaming, middle management, and customers, where not much has apparently changed over the years. I wasn't originally going to write to you, as I seldom do this kind of thing, but after hearing how you had to arrive early on Saturday mornings, unpaid, for staff training, I decided to write to apologise to you and to others that this wasn't the original idea behind it. Okay. For those of you who don't know, because you've not seen those videos, because they are quite old, yeah, when I was working Games Workshop, every single Saturday, our manager would make us arrive to work an hour or two earlier, normally 2 hours earlier, so we could sit upstairs and go through training with him, and we were unpaid in those 2 hours. We weren't paid at all, right? And because we were so starstruck and we loved the hobby so much, we didn't really question it, you know? Because we were young, and we didn't really know. Whereas nowadays, absolutely, I'd be saying, yeah, okay. Am I getting paid for that? No, I'm not going then. That's it. Am I getting paid for that? No, I'm not going. Enjoy getting there 2 hours early, mate. I'm not going. See you later. Right? I'm a staff body. I'm not having a piss taken out of me. But the thing is, though, if I'd have said that, I wouldn't have gotten my own store. You need to play the game at these places, these corporate jobs. You need to eat shit and like it before you can get the big job later on, right? I would have automatically been disqualified as a manager. I'm telling you now, as a manager candidate, if I'd have said no. Because, by the way, these training sessions were bullshit. With literal, it's like, don't forget to breathe, you know, that kind of thing. It was shit we didn't need to be there for. And I'd be sitting there going, oh my god, I could have been in bed for another 2 hours today. It's Saturday. It's the busiest day of the week too. Saturday at Games Workshop is the busiest day of the week, and you need to be there for 2 hours early to do really strenuous, but, you know, stupid, boring training. Do you know what I mean? Really? The busiest day of the week. I'm already here for 8 hours. Now I've got to be here for 10 hours. Unpaid for 2 of them. Because of you. Right, okay. Cool. Horrible stuff. Horrible stuff. And yeah, it is illegal. Yeah, it is. It is. But the thing is, it's soft illegal. You know? It's only illegal if you complain about it and you go to a tribunal about it. Who's really going to do that? Nobody. For a retail job, mate, no, you'll just leave if you don't like it, right? If you don't like it that much, you'll just leave. No one's going to bother. And I don't think anyone has bothered. It's a horrible practice and they shouldn't do it. All training should happen in paid hours. And by the way, when I became a manager, all of a sudden, all of my training was paid hours. All of a sudden. When I became a manager, when I was trained, it was during work hours. I was never trained or asked to do anything outside of work. Okay? In terms of running your own store, you have to do so many things that you end up doing things on your own time unpaid, right? But they don't tell you to do that. So they get away with it, right? They don't tell you to do it. I don't know. Anyway, let's carry on. I was a manager of a shop on the border with Wales and England at the time of working up the ladder at Games Workshop, and had many ideas for making my shop better. One idea was based on training my staff had to perform their duties to a standard that gave them confidence and tools to carry out their work. I asked my staff to give input to what they would like to learn to help them in their daily tasks. Along with their ideas, I had ideas of my own that would hopefully help the shop to go from strength to strength. Once I collated these ideas into a rough list of lessons, quote unquote, I planned out how to run these sessions, pinpoint every area of work, from talking to customers, running intro games, stock ordering, and so on. However, I had one problem. No, before I go on, you've gotten actual things that I needed to know, I needed to learn, right? Talking to customers, running intro games, stock ordering, and so on. All of those things I was never covered. Maybe talking to customers was covered. Maybe. Because we got to do role-playing, which you'd love to do, which is cringe as fuck, right? But actually, all of the mechanical stuff of running your own Games Workshop store, ordering stock on the system, right? Getting stock returns, known lossing product, who you need to go to for certain things, like a robbery or damage to the store, or if you need help from somebody, who to contact at HQ, who not to contact HQ. All of these things that would really help you as a manager and a staffer at Games Workshop were never covered. It looks like you were covering them, so well done to you, right? Okay. It's like learning advanced calculus in high school. If you're not going to be a physicist, what you need advanced calculus for, right? You're never going to use it. You're just never going to use it. You know, I'd much rather learn how to do my taxes than that. Teach me how to do my taxes properly so I don't get done by the IRS or the HMRC, right? Let me do that. Anyway. However, I had one problem. I then talked to my staff, and we decided that the problem of when to run these sessions will be suited to Saturday mornings, as all staff will be working on this day at the same time. I appreciated their attendance would mean coming in early, however, I promised to give this hour back by letting them go an hour early on another working day that week, but not let everybody outside the shop know this arrangement. We had some great times going through the training, and I got to know the weaknesses of my staff, and with their help, turned them into strengths, and strengths were built upon to become even stronger. The team's spirit of my staff was a source of pride to me as I watched them bond through their time training with me. The training ran for a few weeks, and the area manager, and I suppose head office, noticed the KPI, key performance indicators, and gamer headcount in the store increased, along with my takings. My area manager came to visit me, and the training was brought up during a chat, but I didn't put much emphasis on it. At a manager's meeting at headquarters, I was approached by several higher management staff at various times who asked me about the training, and I went through the ideas of how it ran in my shop. Again, I didn't expect it to be more than a discussion, nor expected anything to come out of it. Sometime later, I was surprised to find that training was to be run out throughout the company, set for Saturday mornings before the shop opened, and managers were to train staff on their roles. I did, however, notice one important part, and that was the fact that the hour was expected to be unpaid attendance and mandatory. I continued to allow my staff to take an hour off on a day of their choice, as before, but understood that most shops did not allow this. This is why I feel I must apologise, as I had brought about that situation that affected staff, even if my original intention, through my idea, was structuring training of my staff. Mate, okay. Yeah, okay. Well, it was your fault. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was your fault. Because you did bring it in. Brought at the same time. At the very same time. You know, this is what happens when corporations get a hold of a good idea. You know. What I want to know is, did you bring up to them that you gave your staff an hour off during the week? Because you said to me earlier on in this Hobby Nightmare that you didn't want it to get out, that you were giving your staff an hour off. So if you just gave Games Workshop this idea, and you didn't tell them, hey, I also give them that hour back during the week, no wonder they took it as read and went, this is great. Unpaid work, fantastic, right? So if you didn't tell them, then yeah, it is definitely your fucking fault, mate. If you didn't say, no, this is how I do it, I give them their time back later on, then it's definitely your fault. Okay, that staff are so mistreated in that way. Okay, so I'm not gonna sugarcoat that for you. That's a hard pill to swallow. But if you didn't say to Games Workshop, listen guys, this is how it works in my store, and yeah, they come in for an hour early on a Saturday, but I give them that back during the week because you know I don't want people doing unpaid work in my store. If you said that to them, grats, mate, you're awesome, and yes. That they took your idea, they sabotaged it, they ruined it, as corporate always does. Especially Games Workshop, because they don't give a shit about their staff or the customers. They want to wring every single bit of profitability out of you that they can, and then they'll discard you. When they're done with you, and you're tired, and you can't do it anymore, they'll discard you and get somebody else in. And they'll take advantage of their love of the hobby to drain them, and then on to the next person, and the next person, and the next person. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Hopefully, you were honest with them. I'm going to take it as read that you were honest with them. And you told them, mate, I give them that hour back. Because it's wrong to ask people to work mandatory. You know, asking them to work for an hour overtime or, you know, stay for a bit longer to help you out or come in a bit early to help you out, that's not illegal. That's fine. You know, that's voluntary then. It's voluntary. They want to do it, they can do it. Making it mandatory, that's when we're entering into a red alert zone, right? Mandatory, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. Imagine me. Okay, so I have contact with my daughter, right? I go pick her up and she spends a few days with me, right? Okay. Imagine I wasn't as lucky as I am. And I only got to see her 1 day a week. And it was a Saturday morning. Right? And I got to spend 2 hours with her on a Saturday morning because I had work at Games Workshop at 10 o'clock. And you insist that I get there for 8 o'clock to do your stupid fucking mandatory training. Yeah. Yeah. Now we're getting why that's a bullshit thing for a company to do. Horrible. Horrible. I have just finished listening to your video about Gilliman from a year ago, and for the second time, heard your disgust at having to do the mandatory training unpaid. This wasn't my intention, so please accept my profound apologies for its impact on your time at Games Workshop, and also to those others who were put in this position. Mate, they're still put in that position. This isn't in the past. It's still happening now. I left the company after many years there, and can recognise many faults that come from this time, but as I previously mentioned, enjoy the fact that there are still staff and hobbyists who have the same ideas and beliefs that still make playing with toy soldiers a great hobby for all. Okay. Right. Thank you if you have taken time to read through this, and please continue your excellent work in helping hobbyists with advice and support with their problems. Yours in appreciation, a former Games Workshop employee. Well, thank you, mate. And again, if you were honest with Games Workshop and saying this is how it works in my store, mate, it wasn't your fault. They took your idea, they corrupted it, they made it an absolute abomination of what it once was, and they used it to wring yet more time and energy out of their already overworked and underpaid staff, alright? If you went to them and you didn't tell them that you gave the hour back, then yeah, it's kind of your fault. And I'm really sorry, but it is. And it's still going on now. I know it is. So, hopefully you did say to them at the time, listen, dude, this is how it works in my store, and you were honest with them. Because, if not, then yeah, you may need to take that one on the chin. Sorry. Normally, I'm very, very, very happy-go-lucky with this kind of thing, but again, I lived the experience of what you caused, you know? So, I accept your apology, and I hope everybody out there who is a Games Workshop staffer accepts it too, and I think we can all move on. Hopefully, I don't want you to have that guilt, you know? I want you to be able to say to yourself, yeah, mate, you know, I told them, I gave them the hour back, and they wouldn't have it, you know, blah, blah, that's fine, you know, that's cool. No problem with that whatsoever. And if you did, and if you didn't do that, maybe this is something where you need to look back on and think, you know, if I'm ever in that situation again, I'm going to be better. Just be better, right? Anyway, thank you very much, folks. I will speak to you tomorrow. I'll either be doing some more Hobby Nightmares tomorrow or a 40k rant. We will see. I love you all long time, and I'll speak to you then. Have a good one. Bye now.